Anyway, let's move on to Big Boy versus Showtime. Showtime, one of the most solid standard players, and then you got Big Boy, one of the most cheesy, clown, creative, fun style players, and we definitely saw that in the... If you haven't seen the whole series, definitely go and look at the series. They'll be up on YouTube now, they'll be up on the VODs, Home Story, and you can just get the replay pack from the Wikipedia page of Home Story Cup 20. But very, very fun series. All of Parting series were very fun. He won the awards for most exciting or fun game, or just, I think, best game. I'm not sure what the award was, but it's something along those lines. I definitely agree. And as always, same copy-paste builds. Gateways at the ramp to gas, cyber, in line with the pylon, and then... Okay, I'll be honest. I said 1 minute 30, but all of these clowns are doing something different at the 1 minute mark. So you can see this was a gateway scout. Parting is sending his probe on an attack move across the map like this, all the way to where you would assume you would proxy some oracles or something. At the same time, this probe also suggests that Parting's just scouting. You know, he's doing an attack move, so he's going to run into the enemy probe and move into it and attack it to say, hey, don't proxy versus me. I'm innocent, I'm just scouting. So it's pretty clever, pretty clever. And we got a second gateway, and then Parting is going to go and scout with that probe. So here's the thing about literally everyone except for this game that I've just seen. If you do some sort of proxy, you never do a standard scout with it. Parting decides, actually, I'm going to do a standard scout, and then I'm also going to proxy. And this just makes what he's doing 100 times stronger, because the opponent doesn't expect it. When he sees the probe never leaves my main, or the probe dies, you can let your opponent kill your scout, just so that you can be sure, you know, that the opponent thinks that you're not proxying. Again, he sees a second pylon. Is this the second pylon that you would normally build? So when this probe arrives from Showtime and he sees a second pylon, that's fine. That's your second pylon. It's going to time with your cybernetic score, and you're going to build 2 units. Showtime's got no idea. One thing I think he could have realized is that there's only 13 out of 16 on minerals. So if Showtime was extremely, extremely good, which he isn't, unfortunately, from this map, you can tell, he would know that there's actually probes missing from this mineral line. He would also be somewhat confused why there are 6 on gas so early, and he won't be able to see an early Stargate in Parting's main. So perhaps he would think, alright, this is clearly a Stargate build because we're going for 6 on gas so early, and he's just going to pool a ton of gas until this probe dies, and then he'll send a really late Oracle into my natural. But is that good? Would Parting do such a bad thing? Probably not. So I think if Showtime was really, really conscious, then he would come in here and he would see that there are 3 mineral patches without a probe on it. One of those probes is in his main, so that's 1 accounted for. But there's definitely 1 probe missing, and he's got 6 on gas. So even if you don't count specifically that there's 1 probe missing, which is like really minute, niche kind of observation, I guess, you know, he knows that there's 6 on gas and that there's something missing on the mineral line. It might be 2, might be 1 probe, maybe Parting's a bit late or something, but the fact that there's 6 gas and that he's not going to see a Stargate really quickly should tip him off to exactly what's happening right now. So it's actually quite easy to scout in that regard. At the same time, maybe Parting's scouting with a probe, but then it's not like Parting is in Showtime's base and thinking you've proxied something, because Showtime also has a second pylon in his base. So we got a couple of layers of mind games and meta games from our boy Big Boy. Here comes the third pylon, and that third pylon is actually quite a reasonable time. You know, it's not early or anything. If you look at the production tab, Showtime's pylon and Parting's pylon are basically the same. But I think this is actually huge, right? So Showtime sees Parting send a probe down to the natural, and at this point you build your third pylon on the low ground, as Showtime already has done. Showtime is in Parting's base, He's seen the first 2 pylons are on time at regular times and in his main, so he's not proxying off of the second pylon. He sees a probe go down to the natural. He needs to have realized that this would be too late to build the 3rd pylon. So something would have already have had to gone down here to build that 3rd pylon. And I guess Showtime may have just missed that and just been like, well, there's his probe, it's going down to build his natural. He might have a 3rd pylon in his main. I mean, it's not an absolute must that you have to build your 3rd pylon on the low ground like this, but it's just what everybody does. So maybe there's a 3rd pylon somewhere in the main. Maybe it's already on the low ground and he just missed a probe go down there and build it. But from Showtime's perspective, he's seen nothing strange unless he paid attention to the lack of probes on minerals and the very early 6 on gas. But he's seen nothing strange if he's missed that information. He sees a shield battery wall out his probe. So that's minus 25 minerals for parting, but minus 50 minerals because you get to kill the probe. So that's why people do this. You see, Showtime has done the exact same thing. And parting looks like he's done everything that Showtime's done, right? Except look at the resources. Showtime's on 200, and we are not, right? Because we have different plans. We've not been mining from 2 probes the whole game. And we've been 6 on gassing instead of saturating minerals first. So here we go. Showtime loses his probe, accepted his fate. He didn't scout that there's no pylon. He didn't scout that there's no nexus. And he doesn't have any idea that there's this Stargate. So I think that this has been played beautifully by Parting. He does this the same thing with the Proxy double robo, which he keeps doing against special and winning. Is that it looks like a standard opener up until it doesn't, and there's immortals walking into your natural. It's the same thing. See, Parting builds his pylon there, and then a shield battery. I'm not sure why Parting builds a pylon here, necessarily. He builds a shield battery in case there's a proxy oracle from Showtime, and that's really funny because, you know, he's expecting that Showtime could do the exact same thing that he's doing to Showtime. Pretending to not scout, not proxy anything, proxying an oracle off of the 3rd pylon. Though I will say this, you know, Parting knows that there's a nexus here. So, what are the chances that Showtime is actually proxying an oracle right now? I guess, yeah, I mean, you can still, absolutely. And Showtime, wait, what am I saying? Showtime literally does this quite often. There'll be another game I show you guys where he does this, like, 2 units, oracle, nexus. That's quite common. So I guess that might be a anticipation of that possibility. But in any case, we've made nothing but adepts for Parting, and nothing but adepts for Showtime. Except Showtime, for whatever reason, just doesn't build his tech structure. He's up to 400 gas right now, and I think he's just confused. Doesn't really understand why he's seen what he's seen. Oh, 1 oracle actually finishes here, and a recall is forced. And here we go, it's a robo. So Showtime has absolutely no conception of what's happening. Parting builds his nexus, but very, very late. And here comes the first oracle before 4 minutes. Shield battery is not up in time. Sentries are not good against killing oracles. We're actually going to kill the oracle, the sentries, which I don't know about. Would it not have been better to just kill like 10 workers of this oracle? Are 2 sentries really that worth it? And this is, again, once again, an absolute kill move. I will say, obviously, oh no. Parting, wall, where's the pylon? So you could have had a wall up here and been in a much better position, because we are literally just adepts from Showtime. Stasis ward coming down, making sure that there's no mining. At least it's going to force a pull. 2 workers also get frozen. Constant shading from Showtime, trying to make it back by getting a bunch of kills with the adepts, but I think it's pretty obvious the game's not going well for Showtime. We've got 2 oracles over here. 3rd oracle coming down, so Yeah, at a certain point, there's just too many oracles to deal with, and even if they get negated, so there's a bunch of stalkers in the mineral line at all times, you have the threat of 3 oracles for the rest of the game. It's very frightening, and then the oracles can do something in an actual head-on fight with stasis wards in particular and revelation, and pretty okay damage against the light units. So couldn't help but click the icon. Oh, I'm glad. That's how I'm gonna get him. Lexiev. Alright, so yeah, I mean, 3 oracles are just such a nightmare to deal with. Like 1, 2 maybe, but like he's still killed 1, but he's lost 4 workers for it, and he's been out of position for, like, imagine if Parting had a sentry right now. Instant force field, rest in peace Nexus. It's so dangerous to end up in this position. And now we're actually making Phoenixes, because Phoenixes are very cheap compared to the Immortal that they negate in the fight, so very easy way to get an advantage. Manages to shade behind the Immortal and trap it, because there's no there's no War Prism from Showtime, so Showtime actually going to lose his Nexus here. Parting will lose units, but losing the Nexus at 6 minutes is quite relevant, because at 7 minutes we're going to mine out, and at 8 minutes we'll be out of 17 out of 8 on minerals. So it's going to be a big issue, for sure. And now, yeah, Showtime just knows that he needs to attack or leave the game. But Showtime actually, a modicum of respect for his opponent here, just leaves the game. Yeah, I mean, Showtime actually has nothing to attack with either. 6 Stalkers and an Adept. In total, we've lost 15 workers this game. And also the 2 sentry loss was quite painful, I guess. Yeah, 1,000 extra resources. So, I mean, in any other game it would look kind of close, but 1,000 resources, being down a Nexus and down 9 workers, Showtime just decides there's no way to climb back here, which is fair enough. But yeah, once again, this time I think this was very clever from Parting, because it's not an oracle off of the 2nd pylon, it's an oracle off of the 3rd pylon, and you have to mess around with your probe, wall out the scouting probe from the opponent, and pretend to take a Nexus and put your 3rd pylon in your natural. Like, everything came together this game very well, and it was just absolutely off guard for Showtime. So actually very beautiful game, I think, from Parting.